is Cody Messick, and first off, I'd like to apologize for my voice. I've been sick this week, so it's a little bit quieter. But
Don't shake your hand, right?
yeah, that's right. Don't shake my hand.
We've had it in quarantine.
Yeah, I was in charge of user experience and design for this project.
My name's Ian Moore. I was in charge of back-end programming.
And my name is Ian Hamilton, and I was in charge of the mobile application as well as the business plan.
And I'm Tyler Wright, and I did front end, and I was also the CFO.
So, first off, we'd like to thank a few important people. We'd like to thank Professor Burton, first off, for being our faculty advisor for this semester. I'd like to thank Chris Coran and Ellen Rolfick. They were a huge, huge help as our mentors for this semester. They gave us a lot of really great insight. I'd like to thank Dr. Steve Elliott and the guys over at SCORE. I'd like to thank Lonnie Bentley from CIT. And I'd like to thank Song Kao from the stat department. Now, the problem that we wanted to address this semester was simplified kind of in this image here. The gentleman with the backpack is very similar to us. He's a student, and his job is to compile a resume and then print off many, many copies of this resume and go to job fairs where he tries to apply for jobs. Now, alternatively, if he wants to do this online, he has to go to every job application online. He has to fill out the job application, and he has to upload his resume. Now, on the other side, we have the company. Now, the company has the job of taking in all these resumes at the job fair, and then taking them back to the company in this big stack of resumes, and then going through each of them and finding the right person that's the right fit for that job. So this has its share of problems. On the job applicant side, it's a very time-consuming process to go through and apply to all these different jobs, to compile the resume, to go to the job fairs and take all these applications around. And on the company side, they have a very also time-consuming process of gathering all these resumes, going through them, and finding the right person. And so in this industry, time is money. So what we wanted to do was solve this problem. So here's a couple of personas. What we did was we split the problem down into two parts. First, we'd like to help the job seeker. Now, the job seeker is similar to us, a student or someone that's trying to find a job. Now, what we've been told since we were freshmen is that we need to have something like LinkedIn. Now, what LinkedIn does, it's a way of compiling this information that should be in your resume anyway and having it online. So our thought was if you already have a LinkedIn profile that you filled out, that you're keeping up to date, why don't you take that information and we can use that to compile a resume on the job seeker's behalf, which will make their life a little bit easier, make it faster. Now on the company side, they're looking for this big pool of talent that they can hire out of. They can find the right fit for their company for that job that they're specifically hiring for. So why don't we make a way, a means, to connect these two things, these two people? And we can use this dynamically created resume using the LinkedIn data to help link that.
So those two ways, those two methods of applying to a job that Cody was talking about, they're slow and they create obstacles for the job seekers and the companies looking to hire. So our solution to those problems is ApplyQR. ApplyQR acts as an extension to current industry software and processes that eliminates those paper resumes and those long, lengthy online forms that you have to fill out. So paper has been around for thousands of years. I think we'd all agree that it's not going to go anywhere. However, as technology emerges, the use of paper is going to, it's slowly declining. So why should we eliminate paper? Well, paper is wasteful and it's very time consuming. It's time consuming to absorb and to transfer all the data that a piece of paper contains. So how did we do that? Well, we used QR codes. QR codes are our group's emerging technology, and they were first created to identify parts during manufacturing. The increase of popularity of QR codes is due to the emergence of smartphones because of their ability to scan these smartphones and easily and quickly. So some of the uses right now for QR codes in the industry is commercial tracking, there's entertainment and ticketing, and also product marketing. Marketers believe that QR codes are effective because they increase the conversion rate. The conversion rate is the chance that contact with this advertisement will potentially lead to a sale. So we will use these QR codes in that same marketing kind of fashion and market these jobs that these companies are trying to fill. So a ScanLife study in 2012 shows that 47% of companies are currently using QR codes in marketing, and that's up from 8% in 2011. So 8% to 47% in 1 year of companies adopting QR codes in marketing, and 20% plan to use them. However, QR code success actually depends on smartphone users. So we have to look at our undergraduate, John the job seeker. We have to look at him. So we have to say, will he have a smartphone? Well, according to EDUCAUSE study in 2008, 51% of undergraduates actually own a smartphone, and 12% plan to own one soon. This is from 2008, but we can confidently say that to 2012, that has increased. And I say that because we're backed by eMarketer's smartphone forecast. This is from 2010 to 2016, showing each year how much they think the smartphones will be used by different users. Now this actually helps our product, because as more and more people use smartphones, that enables more and more users to be able to use our product.
So in order to implement our solution, we knew that we weren't just going to be able to use one piece of technology. We're going to have to gather a bunch of different things and make them work together. So in the end, we ended up choosing a few different pieces. We started with the Google App Engine in order to make a website that uses servers and a database that's programmed in Python. Then on top of that, we added LinkedIn authentication in order to get resume data, as well as provide a portal for people to log in. On the mobile side, we chose to go with an iPhone application, and then we used the scanner by using a software development kit called ZBar. So how do we implement this? It starts with LinkedIn. People use LinkedIn to log into both the online web portal as well as the mobile application. Companies that log in through the web portal will be taken to their dashboard, where they can then add a job posting. As soon as they click add and add this new job posting, we then generate a QR code for them. They can take this QR code, distribute it wherever they see fit, and then once users have downloaded our mobile application, they can scan that QR code and apply to a job.
So if you had a little trouble following that, that's okay. We're all visual people here. So the easiest way to kind of show you what our product does is to just demonstrate the current beta version that we completed for this semester. So if I'm a company and I'm out there trying to fill a position that I have, I can come to the Apply QR website. If I've never been here before, it'll just be some simple information telling me what Apply QR is all about, what the service can provide for me. And then when I'm ready to start using, I know right away that I need to use my LinkedIn profile. So by clicking that, I'm prompted to authorize Apply QR to access a little bit of my LinkedIn profile information. That sounds a little bit scary, but I promise we're not doing anything evil with it. To sign into Apply QR, there's no account creation or setting up security questions or anything like that. You use the LinkedIn login information that you're already using for their social network. So by logging in, I've logged in before, so the software is going to recognize me as a company representative. You can see I'm Frontrunner, and I've got a company description that will come into play a little bit later. I've got a couple jobs that I posted up there, but I think I should put up a new one. We need to hire. So anyone have any suggestions for a job we might add?
What do we need?
Audience participation, come on.
411 professor.
I would put a link here, but nobody knows where it is. How would you describe a 411 professor?
Grumpy and short tempered.
Grumpy and short-tempered.
Required to have a mustache.
Okay, so now we're having this conversation. People kind of know what they will need to be a 411 professor and kind of the requirements for our 411 professor positions. So that's all people really need to know at this point. I'm ready to create the So I kind of get this confirmation here of what I've entered. I can go back and edit that later. I can see that obviously since I've just created the job listing that there are no applicants yet. But the big thing here is the QR code. So this QR code is specific to this job application. And I'm free to download it, add it to my printed materials that I take maybe to career fairs, brochures, posters. I don't know, maybe you could even put it on a billboard or something. But once it's out there, it's now in the hands of our job seeker client to go out there and scan this QR code, which is what Ian is going to demonstrate.
Alright, so we have the mobile phone here. Simply open it and go to the application. When you start the application, you'll be on the scanner tab. So you can see it's got my fingers and it's just, just opens the camera. So I take this and I shoot the QR code, and then it comes up and you see a list of a bunch of different links. So what these are is, first you see the name of the tab is the title of the job. You can then click on company information and see the description of the company that was just made. You can click on job description and see the job description that was just made, and the job requirements to see the job requirements. So now I have to decide what I want to do with this application. Either I can save it and apply to it later. Maybe I need to update my LinkedIn profile. I can apply to it, or I can decide, you know what, maybe it doesn't fit me. I'll just cancel it and not do anything. So, well, I don't, but I can draw one and get to shape today. So I'm going to apply anyway, and maybe in a month or so. So now that I've applied, I go to the applications tab, and you'll see that right here I have a list of all the other applications that I've sent in, and then I can actually see all of my applications. Now if this was unsent, you would be able to actually click on it and then send it back to actually apply. So from there, the final tab is a resume preview. So this isn't supposed to be the actual resume, but this gives users,
text there, we promise.
but users will be able to see the data listed on, like that we use from their LinkedIn profile, and be able to see kind of a format of their resume so that they know the data being sent is the data that they want to send to the company.
So let's say that QR code has been out there for a while. I expect some people to have scanned it. I can go back to apply QR, sign in. You can see I now have 411 Professor available in my list of job postings. So I can go back to the listing, and you can see that Ian Hamilton has now applied. So somebody's out there and scanned my code. That's great. I can now click Ian's name, and I now have access to his resume that Apply QR generated for him. I've got some contact information if I decide I want to follow up with him. And then a bunch of stuff that you would expect to see in a resume. An objective, his work experience, his education, and maybe some technical skills. So if I look at this and decide he's a good fit to be a 411 professor, I can send him an email or get in touch with him. So that's what Apply QR does as a service. Now we would like to go back and tell you kind of how we made it work.
So as far as the mobile application, the first question we had to ask ourselves was, what kind of mobile application do we want to develop? We looked at the skill set that our group had, and we decided to go with iPhone. So we actually developed this in Xcode, Apple's software development kit, and it programmed in Objective-C. In addition to just Apple's own classes, we used a couple libraries. We used the LinkedIn OAuth library to log in. That happens exactly like you saw on the web portal the first time you open the application, and once you do it, you're done. In addition, we used the ZBar software development kit, and it's a very nice software development kit that lets you just implement a scanner with next to no effort. And so we use that to scan the QR codes.
Obviously, if more than one person, more than just Ian is using this mobile device, there's a lot of data we have to keep track of. So for that reason, storing Ian's data on the phone isn't really feasible. So that's kind of the job of the web application, to sort of do all the heavy lifting, gather the data, and store all the data. Our web application is built on something called Google App Engine, which is an integrated development platform that lets us run our code on Google's cloud infrastructure. So our website is being served through their cloud servers, and our data is being stored in their cloud databases. Google Apps, they like you to use Python. That's their internal language of choice. So that is what our software is written in. Don't go back to that, please. And LinkedIn, their open source API to access their data is also written in Python. So getting everything to kind of communicate and play nicely together was really easy with Python to sort of serve up all those things that we need to distribute. Now, obviously a big part of this product being successful is knowing that the resume we're generating for people is equal to something you would make yourself and hand out to people to represent yourself. So to measure that, we set up an experiment where we had participants take a survey measuring their satisfaction with their current existing resume. Then we had them use our service, generate a resume, and take a look at it, and then measure their satisfaction level with their digital resume that we've generated. So we had 18 participants that were senior CGT students, so they fit our demographic pretty well. The 4 factors that we decided to measure in our experiment were the resume format, as in how the document is structured and what's sort of in it, the resume appearance, so is it visually pleasing, and the what we called representation, as in if I look at this document, am I getting an accurate portrayal of you as a professional? And then finally we measured the sort of composite overall satisfaction. So each factor was measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being most satisfied, 1 being not satisfied at all. So the mean satisfaction, as you can see, people rated the factors kind of equally. For their own resume, the average level was around a 4, and for our Apply QR resumes that we generated, it was around a 3.5. So to do a statistical analysis of this data set, we did a matched pairs t-test. Our hypothesis, of course, was that there would be no difference in the satisfaction between the existing resumes and the Apply QR resumes. With a 95% confidence level on each category, unfortunately, our data did not support our hypothesis, except for the appearance category. These p-values needed to be above 0.05 for us to support our hypothesis, so only 2 of them were even slightly close. So based on this data and based on a couple of comments we received during the surveys, we made a couple conclusions. One was that we needed to improve the visual appearance of the resume. So the resume we used in the experiment was not what you saw in the demo. That was sort of our second iteration. But the big thing we extracted from that was that not everyone uses LinkedIn the same way. So not everyone has the same information on their profile. So for us to make an assumption that you can log in and your data that we need is ready for us can skew the result, or skew the resumes that are generated if they're not all equal. So we think that with, in the future, if there were some sort of prompt or direction saying we need specific information from your profile, that could improve the results of the duplicate experiment in the future.
So now you guys have heard and seen where we came in the semester. So now it's time to talk about the future and where we want to go from here. So the main things that we want to look at are, towards the product, are adding, porting the mobile device to other, or mobile application to other things like Windows and Android. We'd like to add a search function to the website and the mobile application so that instead of just having to find this QR code somewhere, users can actually search for job postings on their phone or through the website. Finally, on the company side, we'd like to add an export function that would export these applicants into different data formats that would be supported in existing talent management software. So as far as the business side goes, we created a business plan and have submitted that to the Burton D. Morgan business plan competition, and we released the executive summary, and that contains the business summary, the technology viability, as well as the product summary. We should be hearing back soon, and if we get through to the final round, our presentation will be in February, and we would hope to take home the grand prize of $20,000. So as I said, you've seen our beta version and what we got accomplished this semester, as well as where we're going in the future. So I'd like to just say thank you for listening to our presentation and open the floor for any questions.
Oh, we were like 1950, 19, yeah.
So I had a couple questions, if I can go through three of them.
Yeah.
So if I go through and I've created that job posting for a 411 professor, and now I realize that not only does it need to, or does this candidate need to have a mustache, but they need to have some really great sweaters too. Can I go back and edit that? Will that change the QR code?
No, the QR code is based on the ID number of the job listing, so there's no actual job information in the QR code. That's all transmitted via the internet after posting.
Okay, awesome. So in an HR department, we might not have, for example, one person that's going to manage these job postings. We've got 5 or 6. And this is tied to an individual's LinkedIn profile. So let's say people move on, or that person's out one day, we want to edit this. How could I have somebody else log in and edit this potentially?
That's something that was a little bit outside of our time frame for this semester. We definitely did consider that if someone leaves the company or the ownership of that job listing needs to transfer to someone else, it's just not within our time frame for this semester.
I think that's probably going to go along with my other question, because I was wondering, what if I'm in charge of creating job postings, but I want to find a new job myself, because I'm just sitting here creating job postings all day and I want something more fulfilling. Can you do both type of applications through one account, or is it one or the other?
It is one or the other, but again, that's something we definitely brought up very early and just wanted to focus on making devices communicate as opposed to technicalities.
In addition to that, I do believe that LinkedIn has accounts for companies. So depending on how, looking into that, if you can log in through a company account, then maybe we'd separate it that way.
Awesome, thank you.
So this is great for job fairs, obviously. I mean, it's a brilliant idea, and it saves so much time at job fairs. But what if I'm suddenly a grumpy, old 411 professor who's been kicked to the curb? I don't go to a lot of job fairs. I search for jobs on my computer, but I still like the ease of use of being able to apply that this provides me. But I'm not going to be needing a QR code. Do you have any plans to make just regular job applications rather than easy?
Well, actually, what you talked about in the future implementations is implementing a search bar, where so all these job postings are actually in our database, and you will be able to search all of them, like search by filter, so search by your area or what kind of job you're looking for. So initially, we're kind of an extension right now, but if we went that route, we would kind of be a standalone, and then we would compete with like Monster.com because we would be a larger business, you know. So we kind of wanted the smaller scope of being an extension, but that's something that we were thinking about for the future.
And then if I could add on to that, one thing Chris mentioned when we were talking to Mr. Korev was that this is more targeted towards recruitment, just sort of getting as many people as possible interested. For senior positions, like a 411 professor, and I mean senior in experience. Those are more recruited individually as opposed to mass collection. So.
And what's your monetization scheme?
We've toyed with different schemes. I have 2 that I've been looking at right now. One would be to make it free for users regardless, but on the company side, either a monthly fee to use, like as a subscription to use our service, or talking with Professor Burton, possibly doing something more individualized where we would go to a company, inspect their current HR processes, kind of come up with a figure for how much time we can save them, equate that to money, and then kind of work out individualized contracts with each company based on how much we anticipate saving them.
Thank you. I'm not saying advertising.
One thing I didn't notice when you're looking at the job posting is it possible to navigate to all the company's job postings through job posting? And also, is it possible to have a QR code for like the company itself rather than an individual job posting?
Those were things we considered, just didn't get to. The one thing we did think about is, you know, for these larger companies, not all of their jobs may be similar. Some may be more tech oriented, some may be more human resources or business oriented. So with that kind of complicating things, we just didn't get to it. But we did also think about a QR code for just the company in general, but it doesn't give you a lot of specific information to sort of apply. So it's just not something that we were interested in at this point.
And I can add to that also. We wanted to actually first cover the physical meeting between two people, and that paper resume is what we wanted to replace. So we were really just considering that transfer of data between one individual to the other by replacing that paper with those QR codes.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Did you present this to any hiring managers, and what did they think of it?
We talked about this idea with Ellen Rolfing of Epic, who's a recruiter. She actually was very helpful in contributing towards the direction of this. She was very thrilled with it. And then also Chris, who's a vice president of human resources, he was very enthusiastic about the idea as well.
Follow-up question. I didn't notice, but do you have from a LinkedIn profile, can it bring in recommendations? So if you received a lot of recommendations along the way, could that be something that could be brought in to?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's available to us with the permissions we have requested right now. It's just not something we included at this point. But yeah, that would be available to us.
There were also other things we were considering, like adding links that you have in your LinkedIn profile, say if you have a portfolio, then you can have that stuff ready on our product so that you can quickly go to someone's profile if you need it.
Any other questions?
So I know you said you use the security features for LinkedIn because that's all you do is put in your linked account info and transfers to that. But once you get in and say you generated your resume or whatever, does the Apply QR site still maintain any access to some of the things on LinkedIn that you would want to keep more secure? Or is it all just like, it's just copying the text from LinkedIn, so there's no,
What you saw when I pulled up the resume here, that's the only thing that's saved, and that's only available to use or to view to you as it's your resume, obviously, and then people you send your resume to with the phone. Those are the only people.
And you will allow that access when you sign in through the LinkedIn.
So is there a easy way for the company to contact those job seekers? Like, do they need to like just view their resume and see their contact info, or do you guys have any way for the company to actually contact applicants by seeing the
In the resume, that when they look at the individual, it has in the top left-hand corner, I believe, it has your email, and it should be a URL, so that would actually open whatever their default box is. Or if anything, they can copy the email and paste it into their email system, or they can click on it, and if they use something built into the OS, then it'll open their email and they can send it from there.
The other thing is, another future possibility that we didn't have time to get to due to time constraints was that, like he was asking over there, there are other features of LinkedIn available to us, and one of those is connections. So theoretically, it would be possible to scan a person's QR code and then immediately connect with them on LinkedIn, so you have their contact information in the future.
We get through our department, we get job requests almost daily, I think, for different people. Do you think it's possible, and or would you be willing to try to have this as a mechanism to make it easier for your peers, our own students to try and connect with employers through, I don't know, some integration with our website or however that would work?
Yeah, that's the great thing about our product. It's an extension, so it can literally be extended to anything. We didn't want to be a standalone, so we don't want to be like, we only do this. But we're allowing for that space to build upon other existing software, say like, the CT departments, to do something with that if possible.
I think it'd be great. The potential there, what's happening now is we mostly just emails back and forth. And this could really help a lot of people in this room
obsolete.
I don't know if we thought that far ahead.
Well, the 21st of December is next,
No, yeah.
so a few days.
It would be possible to switch to another barcode, I assume, pretty easily if something were to replace it.
The current scanner already will scan any 2D barcode.
Right, right, and all our research suggests that QR codes are the most popular for mobile devices. They're only increasing each year, so we think as a technology, it's an okay thing to put our stock into.
Did you really suggest that you put the QR code on a building where that?
I mean,
Possible.
wherever you can print it, I don't know if it would scan from that far away.
That's pretty cool.
I've actually seen them.
I need a job, rather than say it, just put QR code.
The airports actually have columns, just walking through the airports, each column had a QR code. Each column going down the road.
Did you
Some
check it out?
advertising.
Oh, they were advertising.
Yeah, they were advertising.
I was talking about somebody actually advertising for a job.
No.
That's pretty funny. On your sample data, I know it's a small percentage of convenience sample, but probably relative. I'm kind of concerned. Why would somebody create a resume and value it less than 5?
That's,
Yeah.
when we went to and met with the stat department, and we were kind of figuring out how do we want to do this, and we kind of started like saying 2 surveys, and she was like, well, you realize that who's going to rate their own resume, not a 5, and so I guess that's the thing, like we saw that, and we when we heard that, we were like, oh crap, like we have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And so then when we actually saw this data, it was interesting just because what it shows is that, yes, I made it myself, but it still doesn't mean that I'm happy with it or I like it. I know that there's room for improvement. I have a resume, it says what it needs to, but do I like it? Could it be better? Absolutely. And
Yeah,
so what it
that's what I
means
mean.
is that we can improve and we can at least get to as good, if not even make a better one.
And there, like I said, the mean was 4. I mean,
Right.
there were people that put 5 for everything, and then there were people that put 3 for everything.
Yeah, so,
I don't know why you would have a resume that's, you're not
Yeah,
happy with.
well, obviously, the people don't have jobs, right?
Yeah, there you go. So there's a need for a product.
Yeah, so then the question is, what's good enough? And what works to help them get that job? And so I think the data from the hiring companies is where this is at. And I think if you can get some kind of, substantive, cross-cultural, information, it'll really help. Is there a national organization for HR people?
There's 2 or 3, I think, and Chris, one, okay, Chris was kind enough to send us some ads and some scanned pages of one of their journals. So looking through the advertisements you find in that journal, it was kind of a whole world that we did not know existed.
And did you reach out to them? Did anybody reach out to them? You guys try to figure
No,
out?
just Chris and Ellen in terms of the HR side of things.
Okay. Well, that would certainly be a very possibly lucrative outreach activity.
I think for the confines of this semester, we were trying to make sure it works.
Yeah. And does it work?
Make
Yeah,
sure
so
that,
yes,
make
yeah,
sure
sure,
that
that's
the
what-
job seekers, the burden's kind of on them. If they
Yeah,
don't like it,
yeah.
no one's gonna use it anyway.
Exactly. Well, and that was your focus. How far to want to release, based on what you're really trying to do?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'd say it wouldn't be too far. The mobile app has a little work to do, just polishing touches, but other than that, like it does work. Like as you saw, it adds the jobs. So I'd say it wouldn't be too far. Just again, now that we're done with the class, it's just kind of we're not getting a grade. So it's just kind of what free time do we have?
Right.
And so with the 3 of them all graduating this semester and going to full-time jobs, who knows, who's to say how much time they're gonna have to put back into this, so.
I would say the mobile app is probably more complete than the web
Yeah.
application at this point, just
Yeah.
because there's way more features we would wanna add.
If you, to actually sell.
Well, see, from an investor point of view, I would like to know what's good enough to generate the revenue we can generate to support.
Right.
So,
That's where we have to sit down and think of the direction of where we want to go with the features and see which feature brings in the most money, and then release a final depending on that.
do you think there's some kind of way to acquire that data and make that a target for, if you get to the next round of work moving competition?
Possibly. So another possibility that we discussed and are still toying with based on, like we said, timing, was just possibly either passing it down as a legacy project if people were interested, or coming back as sponsors and sponsoring it ourselves. for another 411 group. Any other questions? All right, thank you guys for listening.